Love has always been a language with many dialects, whispered in temples, sung in cinema, typed in texts. Once, it waited under the watchful eyes of elders. Now it glows beneath the quiet light of a screen. Between the echo of vows and the vibration of notifications lies the heartbeat of a generation redefining destiny. In Britain's quiet suburbs and crowded cities, the children of migrants carry two worlds in their hearts, one rooted in memory, the other swiping toward tomorrow. This is not a clash of eras, but a conversation between them. Ancient love, modern rhythm. Love once moved to the rhythm of rituals, slow, deliberate, and steeped in the warmth of family prayers. It began with whispers over chai, with photographs passed between hopeful parents, with blessings folded into letters that crossed oceans. In those moments, love was not an individual pursuit. It was a family's promise, a continuation of legacy written in sacred ink. The tabla's pulse guided two souls toward one another. As destiny was not found, it was arranged, blessed, and believed in. This was the first heartbeat, the rhythm of continuity, echoing softly through generations. But the world shifted. A screen lit up where candles once burned, and another kind of rhythm emerged, quick, bright, restless. A heartbeat not of tradition, but of choice. Fingers began to dance where matchmakers once spoke, and destiny found a new language in swipes and emojis. The sharp ping of a message replaced the rustle of a sari. The glow of a profile replaced the glimmer of bridal gold. Yet beneath the speed of it all, the same ancient question lingered. Who will love me, and who will I become when they do? Now, these two heartbeats coexist, one steady, one swift, echoing through the lives of British Indians who stand between memory and modernity. The grandmother still hums wedding songs from another era, while her granddaughter scrolls through profiles in a London cafe. One searches for blessings, the other for chemistry, yet both seek belonging. And as these two worlds blend, neither truly fades. The old still breathes within the new, and the new still reaches back toward the old. Between the tabla and the text tone, love learns to beat in harmony once again. Long before the age of swipes and screens, love was a map drawn by elders, a constellation of families, faith, and shared names. When the first Indian immigrants arrived in Britain, their hearts carried more than memories. They carried the architecture of belonging. To marry within the community was not merely to find a partner. It was to preserve a language, to protect the fragile flame of tradition against the chill of foreign air. Southall's narrow streets echoed with temple bells and the murmur of mothers arranging futures over tea. Each marriage was a seed, planted carefully in new soil, hoping to bloom into identity. In those early years, love was less about choice and more about continuity. The arranged marriage was the anchor, a structure that promised safety amid the unfamiliar rhythm of the West. A match was not just between two people, but between two histories, two households, two worlds learning to coexist. The introduction was sacred. A family photograph, a handwritten letter, a horoscope aligning two stars from across continents. Within every union was an act of cultural resistance, a quiet vow that, even far from home, the soul would remember its roots. Yet even then, under the careful gaze of elders, desire found its own language. Glances lingered longer than permission allowed. Laughter echoed softly in corridors of expectation. The legacy of arranged marriage was never one of oppression, but of endurance, a way of holding on when the tides of assimilation grew fierce. And now, as the modern generation scrolls through digital matches, they do not abandon that legacy. They reinterpret it. The arranged heart still beats, just to a different rhythm, one where faith meets freedom and tradition learns to breathe in the language of the new age. Then came the hum of the new age, the blue glow of phones lighting faces once framed by family portraits. What began as whispers of change turned into a quiet revolution as the smartphone slipped into every hand, carrying within it a new kind of matchmaker. Facebook friend requests replaced the family introduction. WhatsApp groups became modern courtyards where photos, astrological charts, and emojis mingled freely. The digital world blurred the old boundaries. Love could now be arranged not by neighborhood, but by algorithm. And in this new rhythm, the sacred began to merge with the seamless, the traditional with the technological. Parents once gathered in temples or living rooms. Now they shared bios through screens, forwarding links as if passing sacred scrolls. The aunties never retired. The narrator muses, they just joined WhatsApp. In one chat, a mother shares a profile picture. In another, an uncle checks LinkedIn to confirm a job title. Screens became modern shrines, where prayers for good matches were whispered between notifications. What was once a private negotiation beneath ancestral roofs became a global conversation, shaped by emojis, screenshots, and hope transmitted through data signals. And yet, beneath the playful taps and digital laughter, something ancient still stirred. The same longing to connect, to belong, to build something that would outlast the fleeting glow of a message. Social media didn't erase the old ways, it rewired them. The sacred introduction now arrives with a ping, but its heartbeat remains familiar. The divide between tradition and technology is not a rupture. It's a bridge, carrying the voices of generations across pixels and prayers, keeping the arranged heart alive in the age of touchscreens and tides of instant connection. In this new landscape, love stands between two worlds, half tradition, half technology. The young British Indian sits at the crossroads, where ancestral duty meets the shimmering pull of personal choice. Family introductions still happen, a cousin's suggestion, a mother's quiet prayer. Yet, the same evening, a Tinder profile glows on the same phone. Between the coffee meetup and the family dinner, love becomes both arranged and discovered, both guided and chosen. It's no longer a simple story of control or rebellion. It's a negotiation, tender and complex, where freedom wears the face of compromise. Once, love was arranged. Now it's negotiated, half family, half freedom. The narrator's voice carries like a sigh between generations. Parents speak of compatibility, children speak of chemistry. Both, in their own ways, seek the same peace, a partner who understands both the language of faith and the rhythm of the digital world. The living rooms that once hosted formal introductions now echo with laughter over dating app stories, as two worlds learn to coexist in the glow of acceptance. The rules are rewritten not in rebellion, but in rhythm, a slow dance between culture and choice. And as the tea cools on polished tables, something quietly beautiful unfolds. Tradition doesn't vanish, it bends. The sacred promise of arranged marriage now includes a swipe, a conversation, a shared playlist, a glance across timelines. The hybrid marriage is not a loss of heritage, but a continuation of it, translated into emojis, rephrased in modern dialogue, carried by hearts that still seek what love has always promised: belonging. In this delicate fusion, British Indians aren't abandoning their roots. They're letting them grow new branches in the digital sun. Across the glow of phone screens and the hush of family halls, a quiet revolution unfolds, led by women who once had little say in how their love stories began. The daughters of Diaspora, educated, eloquent, and endlessly aware, have learned to hold tradition in one hand and agency in the other. They scroll, they choose, they pause, not to rebel, but to redefine. In the age of Tinder, visibility is power. With each swipe, each decision, they reclaim what was once orchestrated for them, the right to choose not just a husband, but a horizon. In the age of Tinder, women aren't waiting to be chosen. They're curating their own destiny. The narrator's words pulse with grace and conviction. This isn't defiance, it's authorship. The same daughters once told to dream within limits now write love on their own terms. They weigh hearts against expectations, laughter against lineage. The phone becomes both mirror and window, a place to be seen without being silenced. Yet beneath that freedom, the echoes of old expectations still linger. Parents whisper of good families, aunties text reminders about timing, and the algorithm hums between liberation and legacy. Still, the balance tips, slowly, beautifully, toward choice. These women redefine what it means to love with intention. Their stories ripple through WhatsApp groups and wedding halls, reminding a generation that empowerment doesn't erase tradition, it illuminates it. In the era of swipes and screens, the modern British Indian woman becomes both her own matchmaker and muse, blending grace with grit, faith with feminism. Her love isn't arranged, it's aligned, between who she was taught to be and who she's finally allowed to become. Once, families held meetings in living rooms with tea and tension. Now, introductions unfold in pixels and group chats. The elders who once compared horoscopes now compare Instagram bios, zooming in on smiles, captions, and careers. Fathers who built lives in new lands scroll through wedding pages like stock portfolios, measuring promise in LinkedIn profiles. Mothers forward screenshots to family groups with emojis of approval, tradition finding its footing in technology. In this digital age, matchmaking hasn't disappeared. It has adapted, learning to speak the language of Wi-Fi and curiosity. The same elders who once read horoscopes now read hashtags, It is a line both tender and true. For every parent skeptical of dating apps, another learns to navigate them, asking softly, "What's Tinder?" before sharing a prayer for their child's happiness. The living room has expanded into the cloud, the dinner table into a thread of messages stretching across continents. Behind every swiping son or scrolling daughter is a parent learning to let go, not of culture, but of control. What once was decided across generations is now discussed across chat rooms. And yet, in this digital transformation, love's essence remains. A mother's hope, a father's silence, a family's wish to see their child safe and cherished. None of it vanishes in the screen's glow. It merely travels through new currents. In this quiet evolution, British Indian families redefine togetherness, not by resisting modernity, but by reshaping it. The Wi-Fi signal becomes the new umbilical cord, connecting faith to freedom, the old to the unfolding new. And somewhere between a forwarded meme and a whispered blessing, love finds its updated version, Family 2.0. Love has always been a dance, sometimes arranged, sometimes improvised. But in the age of Tinder, the rhythm quickened. What once unfolded through glances now begins with gestures of the thumb. Profiles shimmer like digital constellations, bios replacing family introductions, emojis standing in for emotion. A single swipe carries the weight of centuries, where chance meets choice and chemistry meets code. Yet behind every match is an ancient yearning, to be seen, to be chosen, to belong in a story larger than ourselves. Love has gone online, but the ache behind it remains beautifully human. Love learned to move faster, but hearts still break in slow motion. Screens glow in the darkness where letters once arrived. Ghosted messages replace unanswered calls. Connection has become both instant and fragile, a tap away, yet a lifetime apart. Couples meet in apps designed for convenience, but end up longing for permanence. The digital age gives us 1,000 doors to knock on, but no promise of who will open. And so, the search continues, not just for someone, but for something real. In this swirl of pixels and profiles, love has become both a mirror and a maze. For British Indians, the tension deepens, the pull of heritage against the push of autonomy. They fall in love online, but the questions offline remain the same. Will the family approve? Will the past accept the present? In the glow of a phone screen, rituals are rewritten. Love becomes a remix of old prayers and new pings, where devotion meets disruption and tradition learns to swipe right. Once upon a time, priests, parents, and destiny shared the same role, to arrange love within the boundaries of faith and family. Today, algorithms have joined that sacred circle. Apps like Dilmil, Muzmatch, and Shadi.com hum quietly with ancestral logic, filtering not only by distance, but by culture, language, and values. What seems digital is deeply traditional, a continuation of matchmaking through code. Each profile is a prayer disguised as data, a hope dressed in pixels, where love is still curated with intention, only now through touchscreens instead of temple courtyards. In this new world, the algorithm is both guide and guardian. It studies behavior, predicts attraction, and learns to pair souls who might once have met through chance or community whispers. Once, priests and parents arranged love. Now so do algorithms trained on the same traditions. The screen, once seen as separation, has become a bridge, connecting scattered diasporas and lonely hearts across oceans. Through these digital networks, culture survives not as a relic, but as a rhythm, pulsing beneath the code. And so, the new arrangement is born, one where love adapts, but never abandons its roots. Weddings now stream on Instagram Live, blessings travel through FaceTime, and proposals unfold under the same stars that guided generations past. Technology didn't erase the arranged heart. It reprogrammed it. Within every click is continuity, within every swipe, survival. British Indians didn't surrender their traditions to the internet. They uploaded them. Once, love was written in the stars, a whisper of fate traced through birth charts and blessings. Families searched the skies for signs. Now they search the cloud. In the quiet hum of servers, destiny has found a new shrine. Profiles shimmer like constellations across the digital firmament, and algorithms take on the role once held by the divine, predicting compatibility, mapping emotion, translating longing into data points. If God once wrote our unions in the stars, does he now write them in the data? The question lingers, half faith, half fear, suspended between devotion and design. For some, this new matchmaking feels sacred. a miracle of modern connection. For others, it feels like trespass, a machine tampering with mystery. But perhaps the truth lives between both. The algorithm as an unseen priest, performing quiet calculations that mimic intuition. Love still moves with divine unpredictability, even when filtered through a glowing screen. The code may guide, but the heart still decides. Fate, it seems, has learned to text back. In every arranged meeting and every digital match, there's still the same trembling hope that two souls might find one another across the noise of the modern world. Between God and the algorithm, faith has not disappeared. It has simply changed its language. What was once prayer is now a push notification. What was once silence between families is now typing bubbles between strangers. The medium evolves, but the miracle remains the same. Love still finds a way to be written, even in binary. Love didn't vanish. It adapted. What once lived in family diaries now breathes in DMs and wedding hashtags. The rhythm of devotion found a new beat, somewhere between temple bells and notification chimes. Old rituals return with new attire, vows exchanged beneath LED lights, blessings streamed on Instagram Live, prayers shared across time zones. The language of commitment remains, but its melody is remixed by a generation fluent in both heritage and hyperlink. The modern British Indian heart does not abandon its past, it codes it into the future. Across living rooms and news feeds, the generations meet again. Parents scrolling through wedding photos on their children's profiles, children wearing heirloom jewelry to algorithm-born unions. The divide between old and new dissolves into something more tender. Evolution, not rebellion. In these stories, love is not a battlefield between eras, but a bridge. It remembers where it came from, even as it reaches for tomorrow. And so, love stands, half digital, half divine, surviving both scrutiny and swipe. It no longer belongs to one tradition or one timeline. It belongs to the flow of humanity itself. Reinventing, rephrasing, but never forgetting. Between profile and prayer, British Indians did not erase tradition. They reprogrammed it. In every photograph, in every promise, the past still hums softly beneath the glow of the present. Proof that love, in every age, learns to speak the language of its time. In this story of two worlds, one bound by ritual, the other by rhythm, we witnessed how British Indians turned tradition into evolution. Love, once written in family alliances, now flows through digital connections. Yet beneath every profile and prayer, the same yearning remains. To belong, to build, to believe. The age of Tinder didn't erase the arranged heart, it revealed its adaptability. Between the temple and the touchscreen, a new harmony was born, where the sacred and the social coexist. Hong Kong has its towers. Britain has its diaspora. But what the British Indian community built is more invisible, a bridge between generations, stitched with compromise and courage. Their marriages are not arranged nor rebellious. They are rewritten. And in that rewriting, love itself survives. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe, because the past is still speaking, and we'll keep listening.